Howdy, welcome to episode 3 of Spelunking in Space, the show where I go underground looking for procedural variation and the hidden beauty in No Man's Sky's planets. If you enjoy exploration, or you just enjoy seeing caves, this is the show for you. So, in this third episode, we're going to be exploring 6 planets, as always. However, this time we're going to be in the Ubaraka system, which is a system where I formerly built a few bases, built a city base at one point, and I still have a personal, not quite mansion, but retreat on Adama Alpha. So, without further ado, let's see what RNG has for us today. So, we obviously have to start where it all started, Adama Alpha. I have a small home up on this peak, but I never spent too much time underground until now. So the first thing you may notice is you can hear the wind whistling through these caves. And after exploring so many caves through these videos, you come to recognize a few sort of main types of caves. So I call this type like a mossy cave, as you can probably tell from the hanging moss and ivy. However, I think this is one of the best lit examples I've seen in my travels. I've also noticed that with the latest cave generation tech, that Hello Games has allowed more of the outside biome to flow in, so you see more of the snow and things like that falling into the interiors of caves. See, this place is really well lit. It actually kind of reminds me of Christmas time. For some reason, it reminds me of Garland. Oh, and here I've actually used my flashlight so you can get an alternate view of how these look. Surprisingly, unlike many of the other cave types, there doesn't seem to be a distinct color to a lot of these stalactites. Alright, well, we gotta keep moving to Tapiti R49. So this is a radioactive world, I believe. And underground, it has, I think this is the first cave I've seen with a white color palette. But it has a couple of other unique features too. There's one of those underground crabs. So another thing I appreciate about No Man's Sky's cave generation is the amount of different stalagmites and stalactites you might come across in any given playthrough. They don't just stick to one model or one type or one texture. Here you can see some of the rocks, very round, and a pool of what appears to be red liquid, which is somewhat surprising. Over here you can see what are usually ceiling bulbs, however they appear to be clumped up on this rock, which is really cool. Normally don't see those like on the ground. And then this little cluster bioluminescent piece is also pretty interesting. I don't think I had seen that type of plant before. Another underground crab. The hanging vines too are interesting because these seem to be attached to some kind of growth or some kind of rock that's attached to the ceiling, as opposed to just, coming out of the dirt. So that's quite interesting. There are also these small stalagmites that are mostly covered in white. And here you can see the time of day has changed, so it's a little bit brighter in this cave, and you can actually see the white moss. Get a better look at some of these objects in this cave. Here we are in the daytime, just to get another look at this unique color palette. Alright, so this is the dead planet called New Romskipto, which this was one of the first planets I ever looked up or discovered ancient bones on. Underneath, it's actually just as eerie as the surface. Might have something to do with this yellow-orange glow. So this is a pretty rocky cave, which fits very well with the rocky surface of the planet above. It's also full of sand, as you can see. These are some sharp-looking stalactites, vortex cubes. I also appreciate these mushroom growths. I don't think we had seen this type of mushroom in any of the other caves. But again, still primarily a rocky cave. And I specifically kept this clip in because I like this little second level that you can climb onto. Here we have detail on the rocky ceiling of the cave. And here we're able to get a good look at some of the stalagmites, as well as the bioluminescent flora that would normally be too high on the ceiling to get a good look at. But here we can see it up close. Spooky looking. So another interesting thing about this cave is that while caves do tend to stick to color palettes, this one, none of the stalagmites or stalactites appear to be coated in any sort of colored material like you might find in some of the other cave types. So speaking again to like general cave types, like the mossy caves, I would call these rocky caves. Alright, well, this is one of the moons of New Romskipto called Etso, where it is always raining. And if you head below, it's raining underground as well. And this is, again, another type of stalagmite. Lots of tulips and mushrooms and plants and leaves. I also like these vines that have little leaves at the end. This bunch of bioluminescent bulbs. Yeah, you can see the material appears to be more wet due to all the moisture in the cave. Just a small detail as far as material rendering goes. Some interesting rocks here too that we hadn't seen in the other caves. So I would consider this a lush cave. So far we have mossy caves, rocky caves, and then these lush caves, which I'd characterize by, some sort of vine, a lot of water dripping, a lot more flora. Oh, and here we can see some of that water collected. Alright, so this is, I used to have a racetrack on this planet. This is Eakempha, the lush field of mushrooms. So here we have a blue cave, which I don't think we've seen since the very first cave in episode 1. And again, this is a lush cave. Has these strange rock formations. The kind of subterranean stuff you'd see exploring Earth's caves. And I love these little pools of water with concentric rings. It's just interesting to think about how maybe some form of chemical reaction or certain materials would build up around and then start building up again and again. So something you may have noticed about this cave is that it also has a lot of these clover-like leaves and plants. A good look at the stalactites and stalagmites. Very pointy in this cave. The ceiling lights are also, despite this being a very blue cave, they're quite white, so you can actually see the blue coloration on some of the stalactites. Yeah, here's a better look. So here, I believe the lighting is actually changing with the time of day. And normally I do these videos, I visit the planet at night because it gives the bioluminescence the best chance of lighting the cave. But a lot of the times when you're exploring in-game, you're going to see a cave in this type of lighting, where you can clearly see all the blue coloration. In this case, some of the warmer lighting. And I just thought this cave looked beautiful in the daytime, so figured it was worth sharing. Alright, so our last planet is Negianett L39, I believe. These are procedural names. Alright, so a hot planet above, and what looks to be a hot cave system beneath. So this place is just covered in rock formations, as well as these strange, almost bubbly or bulbous looking growths, which I believe are stone of some kind, inorganic. but this cave's absolutely covered in them. And here we can see their true color with the flashlight. They're these bright neon colors. And you see down there the eggs are too, or rather egg-shaped structures. But perhaps they were just more of these. Hard to say. And again, here you can see how the natural cave lighting kind of ties it together a little better. Which is why I usually don't use flashlights in these videos. Now this is an impressive chamber. There's something so eerie about the red glow in a cave like this, especially with the fog, volumetric fog. But it's interesting to see how the game can take some pretty simple generation rules and create these really visually complex scenes. Oh, and this reminds me of the chandelier from episode 1. I just love these types of structures. I mean, just look at those stalactites. If you ever have a chance to visit a cave in real life too, you should definitely take the opportunity. There won't be as much glowing plant life on the ceiling, but they tend to light them pretty impressively. And you'll see structures a lot like that. And this is cool. I think this is the only underground resource deposit I've found in this series. Makes me wish there was a lot more of this in the game, but it's cool when you find it because it feels really unique. And then the last type of cave on this planet are these huge lava tubes. Or maybe sandworm trails. Who's to say, right? Yeah, big enough to fly a ship through for sure. But alright, that wraps up episode 3 of Spelunking in Space. So believe it or not, that was like the most footage I've had, but it felt like it went by really quickly. But maybe that's just me. So I tried a couple of different things in this episode. I was quiet for a lot more of the time so that you could sort of get an idea of the soundscapes in these caves. I noticed that some of them, such as Adama Alpha, you could hear the wind howling a lot more. And then others, you could hear water running or dripping. In others, it was simply a slightly echoey cave. And I just think that adds to the ambiance. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I only recorded footage for 3 episodes initially, and so with this done, I would have to go record some new footage if you're interested in episode 4. But if you are, let me know in the comments below. I would love to do that. I think we're right on the precipice of a new update, if I'm not mistaken. Nothing's been announced, but Sean Murray tweeted an emoji, so it's all but confirmed we're getting something. And who knows, maybe it'll be something to do with caves. If so, I mean, Spelunking in Space episode 4 confirmed. But otherwise, you'll just have to wait and see. So, thanks again for your support. Let me know which cave was your favorite, and what you think of No Man's Sky's cave generation in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. And if not Spelunking in Space, I mean, in the podcast. You know what I mean. Thank you so much. All right, have a good one. Bye.